Compliments of the season to you all from Global Self-Education Platform. I am Dr. Kafayat Lamidi. Today's topic is the 5L of leadership, a multidimensional empowering framework. The relevance of this topic is to all. It will be useful to everyone out there, but most beneficial to the youths. This is because the question today is what makes a future fit, ethically and socially responsible leader. And as you all know, our youths are our future leader. So how do we develop and empower them to be more ethically and socially responsible leaders? So please do share with your younger ones, your children, your brothers, your sisters, siblings, students, and so on. It is an opportunity for you to empower the youths. So please take the chance to distribute this video to them. So, what do we mean by the 5L? The 5L framework is leadership development and leadership empowerment, which means it has two phases. The first part is the development of leaders and the empowerment of leaders. So, why is the 5L framework multidimensional? The first part is that it can be used at the individual level. For example, a person that is willing or starting or changing a new career, or for identifying and categorizing our priority, you can use the framework at the individual level. At the second level, which I describe as the team level, is the group within the team. We can use the 5L framework to assess the consequence of our actions or to enable us to be able to work effectively as a collaborative team, which in turn will inform the delivery of outstanding results. Then the third level is the organizational level. For example, where a firm is formulating its strategies or building its reputation, as well as in terms of an organization trying to communicate its purpose, you can use the framework to inform, to help you to clarify what you are giving or what you are offering to the society. And as well as the organization can use it to measure the impact of what have been done and what has not worked well or what has worked well. So that is the reason why the 5L framework is a multidimensional empowering tool. So, why have the 5L become an empowering tool? Let's look into detail, because I have 6 sections here, and I hope you can all see. This is the first is the pacing rate of change in our society. The second is the need to accelerate our capabilities in terms of leadership capabilities. The third one is transforming toward being more responsible leaders. The fourth one is what I consider to be making our community more sustainable. The fifth one is becoming a global citizen, because we are all challenged due to the pacing rates of change in our society to become global citizens. And I will go into detail of each one of these later. The sixth one is living in a smart world. However, it's worth mentioning that this 5L framework is relevant and it can be applicable to different contexts in every sphere of life, including industry or educational contexts, for example, schools, colleges, universities, as well as counseling and coaching practices. So let's look into what informed the development of this framework, the 6 different calls that I've just pointed out in detail, of how they've informed the development of the 5L framework. So the first one, as I said, being more responsible leader. So what is responsible leadership? And who is a responsible leader? First, I define responsible leadership style as the acts that emphasize on the development, the empowerment, and the promotion of ethical behavior. In order to simplify that further, I describe who these leaders are as those who make sustainable or ethical decisions. Also, those leaders with the power and the potential for contributing to the betterment of our world. And last but not the least is those leaders out there with the mindset that cares for the needs of others and act as responsible citizens. So I hope this is clear enough for everyone out there of what responsible leader is. So why is responsible leadership relevant here within today's topic? Because some of you might be wondering about what sort of leadership is relevant here. That's why I put emphasis on responsible leadership. And why is it so relevant here? The first one is that logically the number of irresponsible leaders out there exceeds the number of responsible leaders. As you can imagine what is going on within your community, if you are able to carry out assessments, you can evaluate what's going on even within your workplace. Also, the need for more responsible leaders. And the third one is the challenge of creating common standard while respecting moral differences. In that, I'm talking about diversity. So the last one is the complexity of interconnected and intercultural environments. This reflects on the diversity of interests and the needs for inclusiveness. So the 5L framework now. Let's look into the 5 of them. Some of you might have seen this in previous lecture, the series 4 of Global Self-Education Platform series, where I talk about how you can work with us and how we can work with you. And that is how I've used it at the organizational level, which I'm going to cover briefly later. So the 5L constitute listen, learn, leverage, level up, and liaise. So let's look at each element. How can we be ethically and socially responsible from the lens of the 5L? So let's look at the first one, which is listen. So how can we use listen, our listening skills or ability to be more ethically and socially responsible leaders? First is the open-mindedness, which means you have to be open-minded. And how can you do this? First, I'm going to give a brief definition according to organizational researchers that describe mindfulness. Okay, first let me look at the mindness before we go to the mindfulness, because mindness, open mind, for you to be open-minded, you have to have that state of receptiveness. And what does that mean? Is that it suggests that as responsible leader, you must develop and empower yourself to be receptive to new ideas, to be receptive to the views and knowledge of others. Also, you need to refrain from being the right person all the time. In that way, you will have open mind towards, understanding other, rather than just thinking that you are the right person or your decision is final. Also, you need to focus more on caring to understand others and be able to value and recognize the knowledge of others. And last one is you need to customize yourself to exploring and evaluating a range of perspectives. Don't limit yourself to one view. That's why we can see how all these changes in the society is informing the call for this framework, and that is more reason why this framework is relevant in today's world. So the mindfulness aspect of the listening is that what do we mean by mindfulness? First of all, listener researchers define mindfulness as a state of consciousness. That means that is a state where you create awareness of and you give attention to both internal and external experiences. The notion of that awareness and attention suggests that a responsible leader must not be judgmental. And also, there is a need to develop and empower yourself to be emotionally detached from all sorts of things that can affect your ethical and moral standard. So you need to minimize the cognitive classification of those experiences in terms of negative or whatsoever that is holding you back to be ethically and socially responsible. So let's look at in terms of liaise, how can you be more ethically and socially responsible? You can ask certain questions or just reflect on these questions that I'm going to throw at you right now. For example, how does your values connect with those people around you? How do you use reverse engineering? Because you remember in series 4 when I talk about some people are difficult to work with, where I mentioned about rational and irrational. So in terms of where you have opposing values with your colleague or other individual around you, you can use reverse engineering techniques to change the situation. So the circumstances where your values and the values of others are opposite or are contradictory, you try to manage it, try to find a place of love to reconcile. So in so doing, you will be creating a long-lasting relationship with whoever you work with, which means that you will be able to work with anybody from anywhere, regardless of what the differences in the values and beliefs are. So let's look at the level of components in terms of demonstrating ethically and socially, in terms of being more social or ethical in behavior, how you behave, how you feel, how you act, how do you elevate yourself as a responsible leader. So ask the question, reflect on this question, how will you achieve your own goal? One, also, which moral principle in terms of accountability, sensitivity, empathetical understanding guide you? So let's look at leverage in terms of how we can use that to maximize our responsible leadership potential. Because we need to, for example, like ask yourself, what have you tried? What has worked? What hasn't worked well? Or have you been trying the same thing all the time? Try to switch, try to change, experiment new things instead of repeating the same thing all the time. So leverage your capability in terms of evaluating what currently is working well for you and what hasn't. Experimenting ideas. If you fail, try another approach. So facilitating and promoting cross-cultural communication is why the leverage component is really useful within the 5L. And don't put or place more emphasis on one more than the other. Try to balance it when you are applying the tools. So let's look at the, before I go on, because I put listening and learning together because it's not a linear process. It's a process that is iterative, so you can go around and come back to another one. So listen and learn in terms of caring, in terms of how you empower yourself and you empower others as well. But most especially, what matters most is your understanding. You need to understand others as well as yourself. So moving forward, in terms of applying the framework, you see here I put the questions for you to reflect on. So I will be asking you, you don't have to answer me. Of course, there's no way I can receive your response, but just reflect on these questions to help you to empower your leadership capability. So, in terms of listening, are you an active listener? Are you an open-minded person? Do you have open mind towards different views? Do you allow others to finish talking before you start critiquing or evaluating them? Learn, what are you known for? What else? What if? What are your strengths? What makes you special? And in terms of leverage, what have you tried? Where would you like to see yourself in 5 years? So let's look at the other two. Level up. Which principle guide you, as I've said before? The other one is, how have you been positioning yourself, or how have you been pursuing your goals? For example, maybe you've been applying for jobs, or you've been focusing on one particular career, and maybe that door has been closed for some time, but you haven't realized. You just try to be persistent and just keep trying all the time, trying to apply for the same job over and over and over again. Why can't you just try to reposition yourself and try something new, try something different? This means that sometimes our value can be changed. It doesn't have to be rigid. We have to be flexible as individuals as well. So in terms of the A's, who are you? You need to understand yourself. Then you need to understand and identify people in your life, your cycles, who are in your circles. Also, with whom do you share the same values, the same interests, the same hobbies? So these are the questions that you can reflect on to help you move forward in terms of applying the 5L framework, and I hope you find it useful. So let's look at how global self-education platform applies the 5Ls. I said in terms of multidimensionality of the framework, you can use it at the individual level, you can use it at the team level, and you can use it at the national level, because in my previous lecture, the one I shared with you last weekend, the feedback is that people who want to apply the framework, so they want to see how it can work for them at different levels, including the individual level, at the group level, and as well as to inform their own work at their own practice or organizations. So that's why I've put all this together to help everyone out there, and especially the youth, to develop their responsible leadership capabilities, because they are our future leaders. So in terms of organizational level, as I said last week, at Global Self-Education, we can work with you. You can work with us through these 5 lenses. So the first one is the listening. We are open to your challenges. We won't judge you. We will listen to your problem and we'll help you navigate through the challenges. Also, we learn by sharing best practices, by exchanging knowledge and expertise, and leverage. We provide opportunity to help you and your organization to leverage your capabilities. If something has not been working well for you, how can you try something? How can you experiment something different? In terms of level up, resources and tools, support, everything are available for you freely for your self-development, for your organizational development, and to help others as well. So in terms of liaise, we are your trusted global platform that you can connect with other like-minded people out there. And like I said, this framework illustrates the one I've just explained to you about global self-education platform, illustrate how you can use the 5L multidimensional empowering framework at the organizational level. I hope you find it useful. So, before I say goodbye to you all, once again, you can subscribe, you can follow or like for more self-educational platform series at our Twitter page, Kafayat_Hood, and on our Facebook page, Kafayat_Huddersfield, separate word, on our Instagram page, Kafayat_Huddersfield, as one word, and on LinkedIn, you can connect with me, Dr. Kafayat Lamidi, and on Telegram, my mobile number is +44 07432657880, or find me Dr. Kafayat Lamidi. That's on Telegram. And please, we are open to your suggestions. If you have any questions as well or queries, do not hesitate to contact us via email at kafyka@hotmail.co.uk, KAFYKAA@hotmail.co.uk. And if you are using this for research or educational activities, please remember to cite it accurately as Lamidi Kafayat K 2019, the 5L of leadership, a multidimensional empowering framework, self-education platform series 5. And I think we are missed something. Let's go back because there is this. Hold on, please. Let me get the slide up before I can. Yeah. In terms of, I've discussed this before, but just to emphasize more on the other three, making our community more sustainable and becoming a global citizen, living in a smart world. Because I remember this is part of the question most people have asked me, or part of the feedback I received from the last lecture. So before I close this session, let me quickly cover that. In terms of becoming or making our community more sustainable, so do you have an awareness as a leader, as a responsible leader? Do you have an awareness and understanding of your community? That's one question for you to reflect on. Secondly, are you an eco-friendly leader? Another one for you is to adjust your approach to promoting social equity and building sustainable living. And also ask yourself, to what extent do you cater for diverse needs? This is how we make our community more sustainable. And also, do you actively take part or involve in contributing to helping the youth to develop their own understanding of the world? So, as you can see, this is how we can make our community more sustainable. So the other one is becoming a global citizen. So, as an ethically responsible leader, you need to develop and empower yourself to have a wide range of views about the world beyond your current environment. Don't just limit yourself to your comfort zone. Explore further. Please take part in making our planet more fairer, just, and equitable. How? By promoting cultural diversity, social justice, and also by having that sense of responsibility to take action. So make deliberate effort to explore beyond your comfort zone. Again, I repeat, explore beyond your comfort zone. By doing that, you will become a global citizen. So the last word is living in a smart world. As you can imagine, today's world reflects our that we are digitally and technology driven society. So as an ethically responsible leader, while making smart decisions, you need to understand how your actions will affect other people. Also, it is important because our society is transforming beyond living in a smart world or living in smart building or smart campuses or smart cities to working with smart people. What do I mean by smart people? I'm referring to be more ethically and morally clean. Clean from what? From corruption, from fraud, from cheating others. So, from doing what is called moral standard. So that is what I've missed before, and I've just covered that. I thank you all for listening. I appreciate you all so much. Thank you for your time, and I hope you all find it useful and relevant. And once again, do remember to share with the youth. It's useful for us all, but remember to share with your siblings, your children, your brothers, your sisters, your students as well. Thank you very much once again. I appreciate you all, and season greetings to everyone out there. Have a wonderful holiday. Bye for now. See you in the next lecture. Bye bye.